And then, yeah, our next speaker is, you guys kind of met him already, but Len Higashi, he's the Senior Economic Development Specialist with High Tech Corporation. So thank you.
Thanks, Jimmy, and thanks, Holly. Thanks, HFMA, for hosting this event for us. So I'm Len Higashi. I'm with the High Tech Development Corporation, also with the Innovate Hawaii program. Talking here today about our manufacturing development program. And I think how many of you are signed up on our website for updates for this program? Okay, if you're not, then please drop us a card because we really want to get started. Last year, Act 215, Senate Bill 1001 was signed, creating the Manufacturing Assistance Program. We're calling it the MAP. Purpose of the program is to help Hawaii manufacturing, help us provide grants to businesses in Hawaii that are manufacturers in the state. We have $2 million of matching award to give out. We can award up to 20% of the cost of specific things, which I'll go through in a second, up to $100,000, so pretty significant amounts. The minimum grant application amount that will be considered is $2,000. I do want to point out, all the information I'm providing today is proposed. Right now, we're waiting for the governor to approve us to hold a public hearing, at which time we'll adopt these rules, and we'll also accept testimony from all of you to see if any of these rules are unfair or need some modification or consideration. So I invite you to that as well. And also one feature is there's one grant per company per year. So very important one. Grants can be used for very specific things, 4 specific things. 1, purchase of manufacturing equipment. 2, training of employees on the use of the manufacturing equipment. 3, improving existing energy efficient manufacturing equipment, or the purchase of improved energy efficiency equipment in the manufacturing process. For those of you running fast, this is all on our website. So,
What's the website again?
Our website is htdc.org. I'll navigate you to the right place maybe after this, but it's htdc.org/new_rules. And then from there, it'll link to everything. If you need to see stuff, I have some stuff printed out here today as well. So those are the 4 things, and those things are required by statute or by law. So we don't have any flexibility. There's no discussion at this point. Just those 4 things. Eligibility for your company. If you're a company that conducts manufacturing activities in the state, is categorized as a manufacturer as defined by NICS code 31, 32, and 33. Does everybody know what that is? If you don't, there's plenty of information online. And it starts as a self-certification system. So if you declare yourself as a manufacturer, and you'll be able to go through their existing list, and you'll probably identify, yeah, this is me right here. If you need help, we're here, HTDC Innovate Hawaii, we're here, and we can help you get through that. But it's codes 31, 32, and 33. Also, there's a Dun & Bradstreet number. It's very similar to the NICS code, but it's a little bit more official. At some point, they'll call you back and they'll verify that you actually are a manufacturer, not just somebody who's doing something, not a retailer who says they're a manufacturer, but you're actually doing manufacturing business. So it's sort of an audit system, and these are all national standards that we're deferring. We don't have capacity to go and check up on each and every one of you, so we kind of default to the national standards. Another eligibility criteria is that if you're selected for an award, you agree that if selected for an award for manufacturing equipment, it will own and operate the equipment in the state for a minimum of 2 years. Now the main reason for that is we don't want people just buying and turning it over. This grant and this whole program is an economic development. The goal of it is to grow manufacturing in the state. So 2 years we feel is a reasonable requirement. We also ask you to demonstrate financial viability of the business and the ability to cover the balance of the cost of the good or service for which the business is applying for the grant. Now, there might be some questions there. We can talk about that a little bit later. And final eligibility requirement is either incorporated under the laws of the state or registered to do business in the state. As far as applying for the grants, we're trying to make it as simple and quick for you and easy for us as we can. So we're going to have an online application. We are requiring a proof of purchase, which would be an invoice, a receipt, demonstration of company financial viability. We also are allowed to come for a site visit. So if you have a small piece of equipment and you're asking for a grant, and it sounds very reasonable, chances are we probably won't be going to every site. But if you're asking us for $100,000, we kind of have an obligation to make sure this is actually going in at the right place. We probably want to take some pictures. We probably want to celebrate what a great, great thing this is for the state and how this is building the manufacturing industry. Good for you, good for us, right? And finally, all the applications will be processed by a review committee. So they'll probably be members of our board or our public partners through DBED, SBDC, etc. So that's the program. Current status is, many of you may know, but when we need to adopt these new rules so that we can implement the program, we have to go through a very formal and rigid process, which is we draft the rules, we review it with the attorneys, we review it with other stakeholders, and then we go through, for us, we go through DBED, BNF, I don't want to go through all the acronyms, but anyway, it finally goes to the governor. And we got to get the governor to sign off so that we can hold a public hearing. And we're at that step right now. So we're waiting for the governor to offer us approval so that we can post in the paper, send out to our email list that we're going to have a public hearing in 30 days. And then we'll do that. That'll be your opportunity to offer any comments. Most of you will just be like, hurry up and let's get going. But that's the public process. After that, then the governor needs to approve it. Well, before the governor approves it, our board needs to approve it, so we need to hold a board meeting. Then we need to do the governor's thing. So there's a few more steps that need to get along, that we need to get through, but that's why events like today are very important to us. Once this program gets in place, we're eager and going to be looking to you to help us, put the money to work. And I think that's what you guys want, and I think that's what we want, so happy to be here today. Sure.
Well, technically, the expenditure cannot occur until the rules are passed.
Yeah, we can't do anything until the rules are passed, and we're still at that stage right now.
What kind of timeline are you looking at?
Yeah. I wish
Best
I
case,
could.
worst case?
That's the question I would ask. And when I started saying some things like, I think it's going to take, but it's outside of our control right now. And once the governor approves, then we have to post. We'll post immediately, probably that day or the next day. And then 30 days later, we'll have a hearing. After that, then we're going to go back into this. Our board is scheduled, and then we got to get through the final steps, which is governor sign off and DNF sign.
So we need to send him emails right now to say approve.
Many people have, because people are coming to us and we understand.
Yeah.
We're trying to get the program in place as well. And, some things are outside of our control. So I can't offer you a timeline. I can tell you that anything that happens, anybody who signed up to our update list will receive notice. So you won't miss anything. As far as timing for buying equipment, many people have called us with those type of concerns, especially if you're considering purchasing used equipment, and so you have a window whether to buy. Right now, until the rules are in place, the program is not effective. So,
And there won't be any arrears anyway when you get it effective.
I don't know, there's no provisions on that. So that would be something at risk and.
Yeah, how long do you have to give that money away? That 2 million till it's gone?
So that's a great question, because we have this program, we have $2 million appropriated for us for this fiscal year, which ends June 30th, right, June 30th, 2016. After that, next session, we put in our request for the same amount of funding. But as you know, this is legislative process. There's a lot of issues that need to get solved, and so letting legislators know, the chair of the Economic Development Committees last year really pushed for this. So thanks to them, we have this. But it's important to let them know that this is important and we need to keep doing this. Also, the administration, it's important for them to know the money committees, the WAM and the finance committees, so they need to hear from you.
So if they refund it, you have to go through the same rule process again?
Nope.
Stays
Nope.
in place?
Yep, so
This is the first time they're offering it then?
it's a new program, which requires new rules. Once we get our rules, then it will be an existing program, and we're authorized, and then it'll just be a matter of us getting the money and then going. So this is really to kick off the program. Yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
You talk about 20%, which is 100,000 max. In other words, we have to come out with 80%
That's right.
of the program.
That's right.
Okay, so, kind of a little bit, but the thing is that I have access to, and the grant is not to be paid back, right? You
No,
qualify.
this is a grant.
Okay.
This is not a loan. This is a grant program. And to your point, I mean, one of the reasons why this package was so widely supported, and the way it's positioned and the way you should position it, is private sector is putting their own money up.
Yeah.
And they're saying that we want to grow the manufacturing industry. And we would like the state behind us. And so that's how it was positioned. And I think that's why it was widely supported.
Thank you.
So 20% off the food cost, including shipping, or?
It says cost of the manufacturing equipment, assume shipping is part of it. Again, I have to just cover myself because these are proposed rules, and I'm an agent of the state, but we're gonna have an evaluation committee who's gonna have to look through these things, and they're gonna have to make, the tough decisions when they're balancing all the projects that are seeking funding. So, my understanding is we're covering the cost of the equipment, which, to get it here would be part of it.
So is this grant for just individual company only, or can association like HFMA apply for this grant?
If you followed the descriptions, we're talking about a company, right? A company categorized under these NICS codes. If the company were to do a cooperative agreement with other people, that's something our evaluation committee would have to would take a look at and see. Maybe it's possible that could be perceived as greater benefit, serving more companies, or maybe not. So I don't have a great answer for you. But
So it's gonna be considered.
the HFMA would,
Well, like HFMA or like
the HFMA wouldn't, I
but
don't
like a
think,
coffee.
would HFMA apply for something like this
well,
for its
co-
members?
Like for example, like
Anybody.
they can some companies can own a co-op and get a roaster or coffee. And
Sure.
they can use-
That's entirely possible.
Okay.
Again, one of the benefits of having an evaluation committee and not having rules that are entirely rigid is that some common sense can come into play. And if they, I bring this up because in the past, a lot of times when incentive packages are put out, people find ways to skirt around the rules. If a lot of that is happening, then the money doesn't get to the right place. But putting a human or putting a committee in the loop allows us to make sure, and that's how the applications are going to be evaluated. how is this helping the state? I mean, you heard Mark said it perfectly. How is this helping the state? How is this creating, improving our economy? How is this creating jobs here? How is this helping local companies? I mean, those. So, so it's contingent on getting the grant. We are setting it up so you can come in and apply for the grant, but you're not going to get paid unless we have a receipt. But you can come in and apply for the grant, and then you can feel comforted, that what the evaluation committee will process it and say it's contingent on receipt. So again, we're just trying to set this up so it can help people. Sorry.
For clarification, your $100,000 limit represents the amount that the company is willing to invest, and you're only willing to provide a 20%
No.
grant.
No,
No.
that's not right.
No.
The state is willing to award up to $100,000, which would represent $20,000 of a $500,000 investment by the company. So if the company puts up 400 and asks the state for 100, or 400 or more,
So the financial viability portion, I guess you're gonna need to show, the client's gonna need, the business need to show the source. So it's tricky if they have other sources or SBA financing or other agency financing, 80%.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
that.
The source of the 80% where it's coming from.
That's part of the reason why we would accept somebody applying to us before they have the receipt, is because they might be using the 20% the state is willing to commit as leverage for some financing or leverage for some better financing terms. So this is all anticipated and expected. So.
Does it have to be in the existing NICS code that the company is currently working with?
When it has to be when you apply. So if you're not today and you're interested in applying for the grant,
If I create the NICS code and
then you would create the NICS code. And again, this is a self-certification at the start, but it's a little bit of good faith that you're proceeding under this manufacturing, and that's what the evaluation committee will be looking at. So if you created your NICS code today, bought a piece of equipment, but you're doing something that's unrelated, then those type of questions would definitely come up when processing your application. Is this person truly a manufacturer, or do they have true intent to be a manufacturer, or are they just looking at a way to fund something that they wanted to buy? Right? Those questions would come up, but it would be to the committee. It
would be more a combination of buying or putting an application for the grant with the intent of getting into a certain kind of manufacturing.
Yeah.
So although today you don't have that NICS code because you're not in it. One.
Again, so that would be what you would put in your application and what you would want to convey to the committee and help them understand that you're serious and you have capacity and skill to enter into this market. And that goes to the viability of the business, right? If somebody says they're going to do something and they have no skill or background in doing, then the state will say, is that a good use of our money or not? But if somebody has demonstrated that they've done it in a parallel market, they want to enter a new market, the state would probably say, this person's been there, done that. It's reasonable to see them entering this new market, and we'll probably take credit, when we're filing our report for launching a new manufacturer into, allowing an entrepreneur to enter a new manufacturing field, and that's how we would, this is about making us look good too, right?
No, it should be that way. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
While we make the money, you get the credit, we are fine with that.
Yeah. So that's important, because we do surveys, and surveys are required. I think I said that in here. but that's what the state is looking at, and that's how they'll be judging us. You know, we do have the advantage because it is a 20%, 20% and private sector is putting in 80%. We have that immediate success to point at, saying, you know, private sector put up 4 times what the state put in. But then we're going to be looking, you know, mapping this as it progresses to show, look, this business grew by X, or this business now is allowed to do this, or they don't have to outsource this, they can now, you know, insource this. You know, I mean, these are all things that we're hoping to report back to the legislature next year.
Will it apply also to nonprofits that are involved in manufacturing of food and products?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that has come up before. You know, again, this is an economic development package. You know, so it's for businesses trying to make money. That's not that nonprofits don't. I don't think there's anything in the criteria that says a nonprofit couldn't. And it would be up to the evaluation committee. I'd invite you to apply. But know that the goal of this is to grow jobs, grow the economy, and you know, people making money is a good thing as far as this program goes. I mean, money in the state. I should position that way. More money in the state is good for all of us. Any other questions? Well,
I just wanted to give this gentleman's question about nonprofit. I just want to make the point that with the funding for the program that Mark described, because funds are from the SBA and they fund small businesses, it has to be for-profit businesses. Nonprofits are not qualified. So, I'm sorry.
okay, sure. And so, I mean, to that point, I don't think anything in our application says, but here are priorities. The last point is I just emphasize that once this program kicks off, we're going to be turning and we're going to need all of you. And so we're out trying to spread the word on how the program works. We're working behind the scenes on trying to make the back end smooth so that it's easy for us, and look forward to getting this thing started.
Bill, we're just going to add one other thing, because I've been in some of these meetings with this program, this new program. You know, overall too, what I think the state is trying to do is, you know, particularly with food manufacturing, is to update equipment so that you have the most efficient equipment. We want to make white companies more efficient, you know, take on new, like in-source, maybe take on new manufacturing things, just to make the state more competitive. I think as well.
Sure. Those are all good points. And actually, one more thing. Funding for next year. You know, I mean, we've put in our request. It's important for people to know that this program matters. So during legislative session, HTDC is usually pretty active on tracking the bills. We send out emails. We ask people for testimonies. That's why, because people need to hear who this money is going to and how it's making them better. So I just wanted to let you know that that's important. If you have a chance and you have relationships with the senators and representatives, then please let them know.
I just wanted to clarify the timeline on the qualifying equipment purchase. My understanding was that it was anything after July of 2015, or is it we got to wait for the approval and then equipment purchase after that date?
Okay, so there's nothing in the rules that talks about when you bought the equipment. The program doesn't go official until the rules get signed into law. At that time, the evaluation committee is going to have to look at their pool of applicants and what they're going to do. So if you bought your equipment already, I think there's no guarantee that they're going to say, oh, this person bought it anyway without the grant. You know, so is that priority over a company that we could incent or entice to buy future equipment? That being said, we're getting off to a late start in doing the program. We don't get, if the money doesn't get deployed, we don't get the money back. So it's as economic development people, it's our job to put the money to work. And so we're incented to try and move the process and put the money to work as best as we can. So that's That's what we're gonna try and do, but it'll be up to the evaluation committee.
On the training side, could you clarify for us what that is supposed to cover? Does it include development of the content for training, or just in the use of the equipment, or?
It says training of employees on the use of the manufacturing equipment. So it's assuming, I think that's assuming you're buying some new equipment and you're gonna teach people how to use it, or it's workforce development on how to use it. This is paraphrased. If you look on our website, you'll see the actual law, and you can look at that, and you can interpret that. But this interpretation is probably very similar, I imagine, to the evaluation committee's.
I think for that, it's not supposed to be like in-house, it's like you within the company don't come up with it, you're supposed to be going to the.
It's about hiring a trainer, maybe hiring a trainer, or maybe you have to send somebody on a trip because you just brought this equipment in and nobody here knows how to use it. So you need to send your employee up there, or maybe you need to go up there and learn how to use the equipment. I believe that's the intent, that's how I read it. Thank you.
Is it a rolling, continuous application process, or is there a window, or how does that work?
As soon as we start, we're gonna accept applications. We'll probably process them in batches, but we're gonna accept applications.
And that's the same for our program. We'll sort of thing.
All right, hey, thank you everybody for coming. Next HFMA event, I believe, is the Christmas party. So we'll see you all there, right? All right, thank you.
This is New York, right?